Beth Chayim Chadashim became the world's first gay and lesbian synagogue in 1972. More than 40 years later, it continues to pave the way for the gay Jewish community, especially as advocates for same-sex marriage. This is a moment the founders of Beth Chayim Chadashim could have only dreamed about when they started. On this Sabbath, they are celebrating two significant U.S. Supreme Court decisions recognizing same-sex marriage. The synagogue began with far less fanfare when a gay Christian reverend held discussions about faith in his living room.
One night, it was all Jews who turned up in his living room for this conversation about spirituality and religion and being gay. And somebody in the room said, "We should start a synagogue."
As word got out, the congregation grew. In 1974, it submitted an application to become part of the Jewish Reform movement.
The Reform movement of Judaism was welcoming from the beginning. Not that there wasn't conversation about it and some argument about it.
Harriet Pearl was one of BCC's earliest members. This video was captured before her death.
Those were still the days when homophobia was the rule, not the exception, where you didn't dare come out. At the beginning of the temple, our membership list gave first names and last initials. We didn't dare have our names. And I was a teacher at the time. And you have to have been alive at that time to know what it was like to be accepted. It was marvelous.
In 1983, BCC employed its first ordained rabbi. While the congregation continued to make strides, it was also hit hard by the AIDS epidemic during the 80s and 90s. Dozens of BCC members died. Others started support groups and programs to provide food and housing assistance to those suffering. In 2008, the California State Supreme Court overturned a measure that once banned same-sex marriages. During the 4 months when it was briefly legal in California, Rabbi Edwards officiated 43 weddings and also got legally married.
Over a third of the congregation got married in that time period.
But then California voters passed a measure banning same-sex marriage. Tammy Miller, a member of BCC since 1985, says since then, attitudes have changed.
More and more people know gays and lesbians, and they're not the other anymore. They're just Tammy or Sally or, Moshe or their friend.
18-year-old Fernando McCrae, who converted to Judaism a few months ago, says he had long been drawn to tolerant attitudes in the Jewish community.
I grew up where that wasn't a problem, being gay.
Now they're celebrating the U.S. Supreme Court's recent ruling, which strikes down California's ban on same-sex marriage. Rabbi Edwards believes Beth Chayim Chadashim will be here for generations to come. It will always be remembered as the world's first gay and lesbian synagogue, but in the future, that may not be such a big deal. I'm Lindsay Mastis for JN1 in Los Angeles.